Thank you, Program Director. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and let me also say, just all protocol observed. I've learned to say that, then you cover everyone. All right, ladies and gentlemen, when tasked with this task to provide a keynote address to the summit, I thought, let me stick to what I'm most comfortable with and provide you an overview of the numbers. So if you will follow with me on the presentation, and I'll provide an overview specifically on funding our youth for skills development. The statistics, let me just look here. The statistical release on national and provincial labour market for youth during quarter one up to quarter one 2015 indicated that those of working age in South Africa, 19.7 million of them are youth and 16.2 million are adults. The youth being between the ages of 15 and 34. Thus, the majority, 55% of South Africa's potential working force consists of our youth, those between 15 to 34. Now, the question is, what are those youth currently doing? That 19.7 million of our youth. And I've gone through the labour market statistics as well as information provided by the Department of Higher Education and Training to the Presidential Commission on Higher Education and Training. And this pie graph here indicates where the 19.7 million of our youth currently finds themselves. 6.2 million, that's 31% of our youth are employed. 29%, that's 5.7 million, are unemployed. That includes those that's actively seeking for employment, as well as those that are discouraged. 2.7 million of our youth, that's 14%, are still in school. That is obviously to achieve a matric, your ages 15 maybe to 19 or 20. And 2.6 million of our youth, that's 13%, are in the PSET system. Now, those that are in the PSET system, about 1.1 million, 6% of our youth, are university students. That's our universities as well as our universities of technology. 4% are TVET college learners, both public and private. And 1% are in the community college system. That is your previous public adult learning centers. So you will note that the country still faces a high unemployment rate under its youth, taking out those that are in education at the moment. And it is quite known that in order to move from the unemployment category to the employment category, education plays quite an important role in that. So the question then is, how do we fund the post-school education and training system in order to lower our unemployment rate among youth? For this presentation's purposes, I'm only going to focus on the youth and mainly on the unemployed category. There are specific dynamics regarding employed as well as school learners that the skills development system has also taken into consideration. But for this one, I'm just going to focus on unemployed. Of the unemployed, the 5.7 million, the 29%, 93% of that 5.7 million, that's 4.8 million youth, either have an education level of matric only or below matric, with few having tertiary education. This means that the majority of the unemployed may be able to acquire skills through the community education and training system, including your skills programs, as well as the TVET system, it's including your occupational programs and your workplace-based learning programs. So one can see the importance of looking at the education level of our unemployed youth currently in the system to determine which area of our PSET system they are likely candidates for. Also to note that of those passing their National Senior Certificate, meaning their matric, plus minus 30% qualify for university entrance. The 70% must be catered for by the TVET system, and those, as I've indicated, without matric, by the community education system in the main. Now the question is, do we give, in order to get our unemployed youth towards employment through the skills development systems, do we provide more funding for the university sector, for university students, the 6%? Or should more funding be allocated towards the TVET colleges, community colleges, and for workplace-based learning, your occupational programs, apprenticeships, learnerships, etc., to provide skills development opportunities for the 29% of unemployed youth? Currently, this is what the PSET system enrollment looks like. It's an inverted triangle. With the university sector, your higher education sector, enrolling 1.1 million students on average per year, or enrolled in the system per year. In the TVET college system, only plus minus 800,000. So it's lower than those in universities, with the public TVET colleges in the main enrolling the most learners. And your community education and training colleges, only 275,000 learners. So you see, as a country, we are very much focusing on our high-level skills, but on the mid-level to lower-level skills development, there's a lesser focus. In terms of the white paper and the NDP, the largest growth is envisaged for the TVET and the CET system, and which both of these systems, especially the TVET one, includes a strong component of workplace-based learning going with the theoretical learning that is provided at the TVET colleges. The NDP target for the TVET college sector is 2.5 million per year. That means it's an additional 1.7 million above the current 800,000 per year, a 213% increase. For the CET colleges, it's 1 million. That means an additional 725,000, a 264% increase. And as we've indicated, that the Setas and the NSF must and will continue to play a critical role in linking the PSET learning institutions to the workplace for the provision, through the provision of funding for workplace-based learning. Currently, the largest number of learners in the PSET system, as I've indicated, is enrolled in the universities, and I think this is just a repetition of what I've already indicated. The funding allocation is also quite interesting at the moment, with 54% of total government allocation to the PSET system going towards universities. That is 30.3 million rand currently. 8.4 million, 15%, going towards the TVET colleges, and 3%, 18 million, going towards community colleges. With the Setas and the NSF receiving 14.7 million, 26%, from the Skills Development Levy for funding workplace-based learning in the main. Now, it is quite obvious to state that the current learner enrollment and funding of the PSET seems to be in contrast with the needs of the unemployed youth currently out there. And as the primary focus is towards higher education and the university sector. That is a detailed breakdown per sector and institution within the Department of Higher Education and Training. I'm not going to go through that in detail. We will make the presentation available. Now, in order to meet these growth projections, significant additional funding is required for the PSET system, which has been costed by the National Treasury at 31 billion rand if the status quo remains, meaning if there are no quality improvements in the system. Or 2.2 billion additional funding for the full policy scenario, meaning incorporating all the quality improvements in the system. That includes student accommodation, development of teaching and learning material, development of lecturers, etc., especially at the TVET colleges. Key remarks I would like to make is that it's acknowledged that although the higher education, the university system, is the best funded of all the PSET subsystems, the funding towards the system has not kept up with growth in the higher education system. This has led to a gradual systemic underfunding of the universities by government, resulting in institutions having to raise income through student fees, making it increasingly unaffordable to the middle and a working class. Hence, students are protesting for no fees increase. It is further acknowledged that the current funding towards the TVET system and CET system is even weaker than the higher education system, which has a negative impact on the quality of education and training within these PSET subsystems. It is also acknowledged that the largest growth in the PSET system is targeted towards the TVET and CET system, which will require substantial funding. And it's acknowledged that workplace-based learning is a critical component to the learning pathway of many learners and should receive dedicated funding. And all of these funding demands are expected within a constrained fiscal environment with sluggish economic growth. Yet the question remains, what will be the socio-economic impact should we not invest in the education and training of our youth? And what will happen to our accumulated wealth as a country should we not invest in the education and training of our youth? Thank you.
Wow. Thank you.